on, gentlemen. Evening, gentlemen.
That's not a good thing. I know that.
No,
Nothing. He said good morning. I said we're not doing this day.
had a moment. Long day. Yeah, this is another one. It's the same one.
You're fine.
Yeah. I'll sign it. Let me start. I guess I can meet before I do that. Everything all right?
Evening.
If you can make it. I have enough of my members on board right now.
Vanessa and Dalton.
Finished and done. Okay.
I can rename
No, that's fine. As long as I just make sure at least get enough to, because we really have no old business. This is it. So this is what we're doing today. All right. Now we need this. Am I on? I am live right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bear with me.
No, I put it on.
Don't do the Zoom stuff. Okay. Bear with me, please. All right. Well, I'll get the meeting started at 6:36. We'll do a roll call. I'm Corey St. the chairman. Doug Anderson is the co-chairman, and Vanessa Hines is the secretary. Okay. Chris Bedbury also. She's having a hard time logging in on the meeting at the moment. I just wrote okay to her. Okay. Oh, all right. So, okay. So, good evening, everybody. We're already going to start the meeting at, I said, what was it, 6:36, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Before we get going, I want to make sure that this is a workshop meeting that the Conservation Committee is hosting, Casella. And with that, there will be no public comments during this meeting. This workshop is to help us better understand Castella's wetland permits. So, and with that, I'm going to give you guys the floor. Yep, you guys are more welcome to sit up here. This is why we set this up for you, because I really want to be able to look at that.
So I think Tim, probably, and Barry, and
Yeah, I'll just hover. I'll keep the distance and just hover. How's that?
that works.
Okay.
Okay, my name's Joe Gay. I'm an engineer with Casella Waste Systems. Would like to introduce the permitting team for Casella and the proposed Grand Estate Landfill project at the site in Dalton. Barry Keith, B.H. Keith Associates. He's our wetlands biologist. Did the majority of the work that we're going to talk about tonight. Tim White is with Sanborn Head and Associates. Tim is our hydrogeologist, evaluating the hydrogeology and the geology at the proposed project site. Kevin Roy is our landfill manager at the existing site in Bethlehem and would transition and be the landfill manager here at the site in Dalton. Bob Grillo is our site civil engineer. Bob is with CMA Engineers and provides all the landfill design, stormwater design, road design, the basic site civil design for the project. Myself, Joe Gay, I'm an engineer with Casella, overseeing all the permitting and eventually environmental compliance and construction and engineering for the project. So I think everybody's probably aware that we submitted a standard wetlands application on August 31st this year for the proposed development of the landfill. The landfill would be developed in 3 overall phases. It would be an initial phase, phase 1, and then a second phase, phase 2, developed eventually a third phase. DES will look at the phases in individually. So we would approach the DES for a permit with the first phase. So we began this process in 2015, understanding that we had limited capacity at our site in Bethlehem, and eventually that capacity would be depleted. And we know from experience that by the time you look at siting a project like this, municipal solid waste landfill, permit it and construct it, it's typically around a 10-year window. So you need, 10 years to develop those plans to the point where you can actually start putting trash in a facility like this. So in 2015, we started looking across the state for a potential site. We located a few sites across the state that would have potential. Some sites were better than others, and ultimately ended up at this location in Dalton. It so happened that we had a willing landowner that was willing to allow us access on the site to evaluate the site. So in 2017, we developed an access agreement with a landowner and sent Barry and Tim onto the project area to start looking at the geology and the wetlands. And I think, Barry, you were on site for a couple of years. Walking the site, flagging wetlands, understanding what's out there for wetlands in detail, which culminated with the application on the 31st after a couple of years worth of work. Tim has also been out on site and drilled many wells around the facility to understand the geology, the groundwater depth, the bedrock depth, the soils, and the conditions of all those elements, with specific focus on looking at the state solid waste rules and how a landfill might be developed in compliance with those standards. So as those plans developed, we began to realize that the project had potential to obtain permits. We continued to develop those plans, and to the point where we submitted our wetlands application, and understanding the site much better than we did in 2017. We are very hopeful we'll be able to get all the permits we need for the project. So as part of the standard wetlands application with the state, we recognize that the state wants us to get in front of the Conservation Commission and present the project and answer any questions you guys might have relative to that application, and ultimately, hopefully, gain the support of the town with the project. So I think, Barry, I'll probably turn it over to you and let you.
I was going to say perhaps Bob and I can go through this plan.
Please.
To give you kind of the overall setting of the.
Correct, that's what this workshop's about. Questions will be asked at a later date, like at a select board meeting or something like that. I can come to you.
So you want
If you don't mind, is that okay? Mind if I stand right over there, Jess? I'll come to you.
You want to make the door marks so that captures that?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, I'll move the microphone over here.
This here overall background plan gives you, or in a snapshot, the big picture. Which you can see off to the right of the plan is Route 116. And the existing entrance road, Douglas Drive.
You might want to speak up a little so everybody can hear.
The existing entrance road is Douglas Drive that goes into currently the sand and gravel operations out on the property, and hopefully the asphalt plant is. Again, this gives you a general sense of the size of the property and the positioning of nearby properties to the immediate East is the state forest lands. To the north is the Raleigh Driving School site. The gun club is off to the southwest side of the property. And then just to the east on 116, we have the log processing facility, and this site here is the power plant. So that gives you the overview. Currently going into the site, this is where Mr. Amberson lives. He's got different gravel operations out in here, and there's an existing asphalt plant that's out onto the property as well. So those are more or less the major features of the landscape around here. And with that being said, I was engaged to basically look at all the state, federal jurisdictional wetlands in this portion of the site, which it encompassed about a 450 acre area of where the detail work occurred. The wetlands were delineated, flagged, and located by Horizons Engineering, and are on the plan set that you should have a full copy of these massive plans.
Correct, yes, the whole book.
So one of those plan sets is nothing more than just existing wetland conditions. So if you look at the cover page of that, you'll see there's an index which goes to specific sheets showing where those wetland areas are. Generally speaking, this property goes from high to low. The high to the east of Douglas Drive is a hillside which is dominated largely by mixed northern hardwood growth. And at least throughout that area are forested wetlands, which drain to the east, to the west, and to the southwest, eventually towards the Ammonoosuc. What would be basically the area to the west of Douglas Drive, the wetlands become far more pronounced as they go and more or less converge into different intermittent streams to become perennial streams, which is what you know as Alder Brook. And then Alder Brook joins Hatch Brook near 116, and they discharge into the Ammonoosuc River. So we're looking at the wetlands on the site. What we tried to do is avoid and minimize as much of the wetland impact as we could, given the nature of the project. And with that being said, you can see the shape of this landfill doesn't conform to a square or a rectangle. It's rather an odd shape, and that's because we took a lot of effort to try to avoid the highest quality wetlands on the site. Again, we are impacting wetlands, but we tried to, with this design, minimize the impacts as much as possible. We've been before the DES on several occasions talking through the project, and we've also had the federal regulators out here as well to take a look at the site as well. Bob, is there anything I'm missing?
No, I mean, we did go through a minimization process. We started out with a footprint, and our goal was to avoid filling any surface water or perennial streams in the landfill footprint itself, and also to avoid filling any significant wetlands as identified by the National Wetland Inventory. So we started out with a larger footprint, and as Barry mentioned, as we walked the site, Barry developed data, we pull it back, pull it back, pull it back.
I think we had 4 versions.
Yeah, there's 4 sort of steps through that. It's described in the report, and ended up with this particular footprint.
So this particular footprint, again, was designed to try to avoid the higher quality wetlands and provide continuity for the Alder Brook drainage going towards the river. We also took into consideration the hydrogeologic issues that Tim can address a little bit as far as the watershed and groundwater issues and how the groundwater interfaces with the wetlands. These are largely discharge wetlands that are occurring, basically meaning the groundwater is discharging up and helping to feed the wetland areas. Tim, you have any?
Just to reiterate, the ridge line, the high, that's where the groundwater recharges through precipitation and snow melt and flows in this general direction to the wetlands, to the tributaries to Alder Brook.
How many wells did we end up having out there?
There are wells at 36 locations, and some of those are couplet wells, so 2 wells within a single borehole, And there are also 10 piezometers that we have water level data on, that we have surveyed in those points, so we understand the water level elevation and can determine groundwater flow direction from those.
So we've been basically monitoring both the hydrogeology and surface water affecting these wetlands now for going on to 2 years.
That's right, about 15 of the locations have pressure transducer data loggers recording the water levels in them, so we can see the seasonal highs and lows as the years go on.
So as far as this design is concerned, this is a lot of information for you to go through, obviously.
It is.
Just to kind of summarize, that footprint represents 17.5 acres of permanent and temporary wetland impact. And it's broken down by about a half an acre of impact associated with Douglas Drive. Douglas Drive is, good for gravel operations, but to make it work for this facility, it has to be upgraded. So the upgrade of Douglas Drive will have some impacts where we're putting culverts in, where perhaps there wasn't a culvert, or straightening the road out and things of that sort. And the landfill proper is approximately 17 acres of impact. Again, about half of 0.5 acres of which is temporary impact. We come in, and perhaps the best way to look at it is to pull maybe one of your design plans.
Yeah, that would be good. I was gonna grab actually mine, but I mean, if you,
It gives you a better sense of how the
that might be easier, or?
No, we'll get these right here.
So this is, let's get this oriented here.
Actually, we show the first showing plan and get you a good one. This area here is the infrastructure area, office area. Douglas Drive coming in. This is a blow up of that same area.
So here's Douglas Drive. And so the infrastructure area is what we're calling that. That's where we have our office here. We have a maintenance building, scales where the trucks will come in and out and get weighed, and they queue up here. Leachate storage tanks where we'll be pumping the leachate in prior to having it treated off site. And then there'll be a future gas plant there as well that will treat the landfill gas and clean that. So to get to the site, we need to cross a major stream, and we selected the location where it was quite narrow, and at that location, we'll be building a culvert, open bottom, or natural bottom culvert, and have a retaining wall and have that access come in directly that way.
Yeah, that's the only perennial stream. So basically, again, getting back to this figure, this gives you kind of a sense of the 3 phases that Joe talked about. The infrastructure area, getting across that wetland area, and then a perimeter road will go around the entire landfill.
All right, so you're talking wetlands, I mean, just basically just to get you across the perennial stream. This right here is phase 1.
No,
No, this is phase 1. 1, 2, and 3.
phase 1 is what, about 60 acres?
62.
62 acres.
So is the perimeter road included in what you're calling the actual landfill?
Yes, so just to clarify terms, that's a good question. This dotted line is the limits of the actual landfill with the liner and where the refuse will be placed. The impacts that Barry talked about were all the disturbance here. So it'd be the access road, it'd be the berm that contains the landfill, it'd be the ponds and access to the ponds. So that's all
Yeah,
included.
the state and federal folks want you to cumulatively showcase all your impacts so that they see it all at once. So the impacts I'm talking about basically encompass the entire build out of this.
And when we talk about footprint too, I think this is important. We refer to the footprint a lot. The footprint is just the lined area where the waste would go.
That's okay.
So, so there's disturbance, soil disturbance to build the ponds, the road, the infrastructure area, the berm. That's outside of the footprint.
So what does that all mean?
That's all 17 acres. That's the same.
The total disturbance is 260 acres?
261 acres of total land disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the way we looked at it is, and you look at the detail in that application, we talk about the impacts and the plans to all of the parts of the road to get in. And much of this area actually is existing gravel operations. It's kind of weird. Mr. Ingerson has stockpiles currently. Then there's the crossing, and then these areas on this plan that you see highlighted in green are wetland areas that would be impacted. So those would be all the impact areas for all three phases. So the position of the state and federal wetland folks is they want to see everything up front, and recognizing that basically they permit that, but the project is going to be built in a phased approach. And each phase of the project requires other permits that folks have to secure.
That's what I was asking. This is not all gonna be done at once. The impact is only gonna be phase one, and then phase two, and then, which makes it less damaging to.
So this is the Amanusik's down here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is it Tim, hydrologist? So you said that the hydrology of it flows like this, and it shows that going like under the landfill.
That's right, groundwater would be beneath the landfill.
Right, right. So have you tested for like aquifers? And those types of things?
We have groundwater samples from the wells. We've done a couple rounds, and the plan is to continue to do more to support the wetland, to build the water quality record for the solid waste application. But that's right, we understand we've measured the elevation of the groundwater across the footprint of the landfill area.
And you have no concerns?
In terms of, we understand the flow direction, and we have the quality, it's very high quality water.
Now?
You're talking, so she's asking post-development on the landfill.
Absolutely.
Post-development, so under the New Hampshire solid waste requirements, a facility like a landfill is required to develop a background record, so this early data is helping develop that starting record now. And so, as it operates the facility, just like any other landfill in Canterbury, will have to compare to their background values, not just to drinking water standards. So that's why this early data is important to develop that record, because it'll provide that baseline for comparison as time
As you
goes
go
on.
on, as the water becomes polluted.
And I think, I don't want to speak for the regulators, but in my experience, it's been that if you've got groundwater flowing from here to here, the regulators want that groundwater flowing beneath the landfill. And for the reason, if with the background data and it's coming into this area clean, passing through, it better be clean down here. And if it isn't, there'd be a problem with the containment system. And so it's called a monitorable condition, having that groundwater flow underneath the landfill, which is very important. So we can 3 times a year sample all the wells and determine that what is coming into the landfill area and what is leaving the landfill area matches, and that there's no increase in contamination. And if there was, the state would make us fix it.
So what about all those little streams and tributaries that are coming in and end up in the Amanuzik? Do you test that?
Yeah, we'll test the Amanuzik upstream and downstream, and the streams adjacent.
I mean, the state already tests it through fishing and the water quality.
Yeah, we'll be required to do a more extensive type of sampling like we do at Bethlehem. And while it's not in this application, it will be with the state's waste management application. There'll be a lot of details about the containment system and the protections to the environment.
So for that scope of impact for a project like this, is we said it's a major impact project. The state requires that we mitigate the impacts that have been occurred. So as you may have seen in the application, we're proposing 2 parcels of land for land preservation, totaling 350 acres in total. One of which is on-site, 244 acres. And it's located more or less where my hand is. It's basically all the brook and the headwaters. And the other parcel is 106 acres, and that's over in Bethlehem, and it's abutting the Amanuzik River. And it's got about almost 4,000 feet of frontage on the Amanuzik River. and abuts the Forest Service land. So that's what we're proposing before the regulators at this point. Again, this is in review at this juncture, so we'll be, I'm sure, getting feedback from both the state and federal people.
And we would love to have you guys out to the site, if you can work it into your, what's that?
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, if you guys can work it into your schedule, we'd love to meet you out there.
We'll let you pick the date and, you know, I have no problem whatsoever.
Oh, that's great.
We'll do it on here, you guys are nice enough to come here and present this, we'll be more than happy to.
Yeah.
Well,
What you guys can do.
yeah, I mean, most conservation commissions would visit to the site, not anybody else.
Is there a day of the week, a time of the day, weekend? Is there anything that's kind of sticks out as being better than another? And you can get back to us on that. We don't have to decide tonight.
Our primary focus was, you know, you had snow the other day, so it's the beginning of the end for field season, so.
The sooner the better, probably, if we can, you know, so you can actually see the, you know, the landscape, you know, clearly.
All right, we'll discuss it with the board members and stuff and go from there. And
Yeah.
We'll reach out to you and.
Okay.
So simple that will be.
What we've done too out there is, we've had Horizons put some grade stakes and some markers out in key spots so that we can take you to specific locations, orientate the plan so you can see on the ground what exactly the plan depicts. So it's very helpful, I think, getting yourself orientated on such a large property.
So I just also mentioned that we are working on the federal wetlands application, which will be required. So that hopefully is going to go in the upcoming weeks. We're also working on our waste management, you know, the main permit for the facility. We're working on that and expect that to go in 2020. And we have a highway access permit we're going to seek for the access for 116. There are going to be some improvements that are going to be required down there, and we recognize that, and that'll be in that application. And then
What kind of improvements do you think you're gonna need for that from there?
just a highway permit, a highway access permit. It's a driveway permit, is what it's called.
Correct, that's, yeah, I understand, but I'm just trying to figure out what the difference is from what the Emersons have right now.
Okay.
The heavy traffic.
Yep.
And-
There'll be a deceleration lane.
Thank you, okay,
Turn
that's
right.
what she's on, yeah.
So-
Because that corner's up here,
Yep,
you know, so it is.
that's right.
I pulled out that many times and missed a gear or something because traffic's
Yes.
coming in.
Well, and so one thing that's, you know, it's kind of beyond the scope of the wetlands, although Barry did go down and delineate wetlands along 116. You know, we're going to require the landfill traffic, other than those collecting locally in Littleton, to come in through Whitefield down 116. We prefer not to have the larger trucks coming through the village of Littleton. So the focus on that and why you see the right turn lane approaching the site is because all the trucks will be coming in from this direction.
That makes sense, because Wakefield already has, you know, it's already a heavy truck route in it, so.
We've done a traffic study of that
Yeah.
situation, so.
And there's other permits. There's an AOT permit application that we're working on, and there'll be an air, you know, permit required by the Air Resources.
What was the first one you said before the air permit?
Alteration of terrain, AOT permit.
I just-
And I also mentioned the air permit, which will come a little bit later as well. But there's, you know, multiple permits that will be required. And I think pretty much all of which, in one form or another, we're working on.
So again, the wetlands permit was the first that you've seen, because it's the overall, and the others are aspects or components.
Is there anything else you wanna break down on it, or?
Well, again, on the three plan sets you have, one plan set is existing condition plan set. The other one is horizon plans that show the impact areas, and they're actually far more readable because they don't have as much grading. Where this plan set gives you the detail of the ponds and the details of the road profiles and so forth. You know, if you get into the nitty gritty of the grading and all that, that's in these plan sets.
They can hear me, Greg?
Yeah.
Is there any committee members, Vanessa? Chris, anybody have any other questions for him? Like I said, we were hoping to, review this with you guys, and then like, the, select board meeting or something with you. We'd like that. That way we'll have enough
Sorry.
to. Yep, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
It's Vanessa. So myself and Doug, we are recusing ourselves, from, this topic and being in, we're listening in still, but, because we're involved in the project, we're just recusing ourselves.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Just want to make sure, I'll leave anybody else.
And, Doug is too.
Yeah. Hey guys, tonight. So Corey, we're available, anytime if you got questions. Again, love to, meet you out there and look at the site because we think that's really important, especially before it snows.
Yeah, that way too, as you're reviewing the application, you get out to the site, you have very specific questions, we can target, you to see those areas.
Are you all in business cards?
I don't, I have one in the truck. I can go get you one.
The only person we have, the only person I have to contact is Rebecca.
Okay, yes.
Bob, anything else?
Unless you'd like more information about any aspect of this.
Nancy, is there anything else you'd like to?
I'm good.
We're good?
Tim?
And if there's any questions that come up, section 9.3 is the big section of the report for us, so.
Thank you. Okay.
Barry?
I think again, we just tried to tonight showcase the whole picture so you could get a sense of the project and all the work that's gone into it. And, again, try to see if we can get you out there sooner versus later.
Yes.
Take a peek and
Love to.
go from there.
And then we'll talk to the committee members and we'll make a date and, we'll get in touch with you or.
Yeah. I think probably myself would be awesome.
Okay.
Kevin, anything else?
Okay.
Also?
Yeah.
Awesome. We know there's a lot to digest and we
Yeah.
appreciate that, so we want to make ourselves available and, be able to answer your questions, you guys. Sure.
We appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming over.
You're very welcome. All right, thank you.
Have a safe trip, guys.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate you here, but I don't think that's the same age I am. That bothers me because that's the type of person I am.
Yeah, well,
Contact information down,
sure.
and that way you don't have to
Sure. It is, yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you guys for coming.
everything too.
Yes, email, phone number is right on there.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Once again, have a safe trip home.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll get in touch with you very soon.
Sounds good.
Alright, well, that went faster than I expected. So, just need to reach out to the conservation members, plan a date. We have 3 of us right now, so I see no reason why the 3 of us cannot decide a date on what will work.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to give them like a couple of dates.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
As long as it's not snowing, we'll all be good.
Yeah, that's why we need to do it sooner than later. So, Nancy, we'll let you shoot first on a day that you'd like to go with, and we'll see if it's gonna deal with anybody else, and we'll narrow it down from there.
They were not opposed to weekends, so if weekends are better, cause I know everybody's busy during the week.
Yeah, I would say maybe the first week in November.
First week in November.
Do we wanna wait that long? Cause I did hear on the news the other day that we may have more snow this coming week, so, I mean, do we wanna get out there before too much snow?
It's only about, like a week, weeks away.
She said it's only about a week away, but you're basically telling, so
Right,
that,
I just next week.
Alright,
I
November
did,
first,
that doesn't mean.
no, that's why we're here, we need to make sure, I like to have everybody there who wants to go, I don't want
Alright, so
anybody to miss
November
out.
first is a Sunday, so what time, Nancy?
I don't know. November 1st is a Sunday.
Yes, ma'am.
Do they want to go out on a Sunday?
No, I would,
No.
let's not do it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So, the 31st is a Saturday.
Would that work?
So what? No. I don't remember this.
No, okay. We'll do it,
I mean, does it have to be a weekend for you guys?
no, it doesn't have to be a weekend.
No,
Oh, then.
Yeah, we can plan a little, we can plan it later in the day. Oh, it gets dark around 5:30 now, I believe, like 5:36, pretty much pitch black, right? So, the only benefit of doing it on the
Yeah,
weekend,
and Nancy is the only one.
and actually,
If Nancy, that, she can do it another time, I mean, we can't keep pushing everything out
Yeah,
so far away because one person always can't attend the meeting.
well, and, Halloween is, fall back, we turn our clocks back Halloween, so come up November 1st, it'll be getting dark at 4:30, yeah. So,
Justin has to do.
we can do it sometime next week.
I can't.
she can't, she's gonna be gone. Vanessa, any idea? Throw something out there, please.
November 2nd?
Yeah.
Then for election day,
We're both open to anything, so
November
we're
2nd?
flexible.
How about November 2nd?
Sure, no, it's fine, or morning or afternoon.
Will have to be probably in the afternoon.
It doesn't
Let's-
matter.
All right, let's do it in the afternoon.
So, 2:00?
Does that sound good to you, Vanessa, 2:00?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay,
And
Monday.
we're all just gonna meet over at the land, sorry.
I'm sorry?
Well,
I didn't hear what you said.
I got his information, Vanessa, so I will email him and
I
confirm that this date will be.
I have all of their information. I'm just asking if we're all meeting at the landfill, that's all I asked.
Yes. Correct, yes, at the entrance.
Okay, thank you.
Meet at the entrance. Okay, on November 2nd, 2:00, at the entrance. Okay, sounds good. We get that, write that down. Is there anything else that the board members would like to talk about? Nancy, any?
Well, Vanessa, you sent out a short agenda,
Mhm.
and it talked about, us getting our mail. So what used to happen is that, well, actually, Christine used to stop, because you were the secretary, right? Every once in a while, pick it up. I think
Or
that,
I would ask whoever was in the office to leave it in here for,
right, so that's a couple of options, either someone who lives close can check once a week, or we just ask that the mail be left in the cabinet the afternoon of our meetings. It's, I mean, we still, you know, if we only do it once a month, we're still gonna miss some stuff.
Oh, by all means, yes.
Mhm.
I think, Dave and Christine are the closest. I'm not
That's-
sure if they're interested or.
well, yeah, we might live the closest, but
Okay,
You can get it.
90% of the time, we're
well,
not
how's
in the
this?
area.
How's this? If you can't get it, text me and then I'll come over and get it. That's all.
Okay.
How's that?
We can
So
do
you're
that.
gonna pick it up?
But it's just to check it in the
Just
mailbox,
check.
we're not gonna take it out of the.
No, just to check it.
That way,
That way if a certain permit comes in that week or conservation needs to act on faster, we can look at it.
Or the, select board or admin administrative, whoever like sorts it out can say, hey, email us, you guys have mail from such and such a place.
Well, that's not really their job.
Yeah, so we'll go with this, we're gonna go with Christine, gonna grab it, and if she can't grab it, I will, look at it. If she can't, she'll text me, and then I will come over and look at it. And we'll try to do it like every week. Pick a day and do it. That's it,
Okay, what day do we wanna do it?
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter,
Doesn't
just
matter.
alright.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Can't do it on Friday, because it's closed on Friday, so, yeah, I'll just pick a day. Whatever our schedule is.
whatever is easy, it's just to look on it and make sure we're not gonna miss anything important. I believe that's gonna be it, because that was the work session, it was checking with the Casellas.
So since we have members of the select board here, how do you do your mail?
Sorry, say again?
How do you do your mail?
Well, we meet every week, so we just grab it.
So you just grab it when you're,
Here,
the day of your meeting, okay.
Yeah. So I do have a question, because I know I listened to part of the last meeting, and there was talk about hiring an independent consultant
Mhm.
to look at the wetland.
Mhm.
Nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear each other. Okay. We just get complaints from people, like, listening remotely. There. So my question was, I listened to part of the last meeting, and there was talk about hiring an independent consultant to evaluate the permit, and I wondered if the Conservation Commission is going forward with that.
That's, we're still talking about that.
Yeah, I think we should, but I just,
I sent an email out, stating that we had to recuse ourselves for the involvement on it and that, somebody else should take place. And I also sent an email out, which I think Carol replied to, asking for the email, with Mr. Craig, the gentleman, I think his name is, in charge of the wetland application. So our involvement with the project, I'm not gonna be the one that's sending out the letter and getting a hold of these people, so that's gonna be tasked on to whoever you guys decide to vote on, who's gonna do that. And
send the
the
email.
mail came a day before our last, excuse me, I'm talking. The mail came the day before our last meeting, and we didn't obviously get it, that's why we're discussing the mail tonight. And I had emailed him and asked him if we would have an extension to it, and he said no. So that's where it was, and I had emailed it to everybody, and nobody replied back to it, so.
Didn't you, I thought that it was CC'd to Doug, that permit, the application. And you said we only got the information the day before the meeting, but you got, at least Doug was CC'd on it, whenever they sent it out.
Yeah, Nancy, we don't get the mail all the time, it's sat down at the box, so I don't know what you're trying to get at with that one. You're on the conservation, it's your job too, so you should have checked the mail. Don't pinpoint it on one individual
I think I'm the one who just suggested, excuse me, I'm talking, I think that I was the one who just suggested it.
Anything else, Vanessa? So, who do we want to go out for this? Who do we want to be in charge for going out and seeing if we can get somebody to do this?
I will do that.
You will do that?
Mhm.
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay.
Do we have a list of people who we want to, are we gonna do it the same way we talked about last month? Do you wanna make a letter, send out a letter to certain people and invite them to bid on the,
Absolutely, yeah.
okay, do we have a
So
list of
I'll do a
people?
draft letter, I will send it to you all. If you, have a recommendation of a wetland scientist or hydrologist, then, send it to me before, what's today?
Today.
Well, if
Today's the
anybody
20th.
does,
Yeah, today's the 20th.
the 20th, so,
You you
Send
another
it to
3
me
weeks,
by
like last month, or-
send it to me by the 25th. Right, 5 days.
Okay,
She's got you, Pen.
Yes, I got your phone call.
thank you. Okay, I don't even have, I forgot my book.
I will send out a reminder tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay, so you want, names of anybody, if anybody has any names
Professional.
of professionals, you want people to send you their names by Sunday at 5 p.m.
Names and contacts if you have them.
Names and contacts by Sunday, the 25th at 5 p.m.
Mhm.
I figured we should set a time too, so that somebody didn't send it to you at midnight. Well, I mean,
Yeah. So wait a minute.
but you're gonna try to send it out by,
I'll be explicit in the email tomorrow.
Okay.
So you know what to
and
expect.
then we'll take a look at it and we can go set up something for those guys to come and meet us. We can go over it. Break it down a little bit more. Anything else? Vanessa, Chicky, Dave?
Yeah, has the assistant admin provided Nancy with a email now, or is she still using her personal?
I don't need to use my personal, I'm on the email list for the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
And what is it?
It's on the contact list.
Yeah,
So if you just reply to the Conservation Commission, it'll go to her too.
Okay.
so just to clarify, even though you're recusing yourself of anything that's going on with this wetland permit, Vanessa, you're still gonna email this guy and find out if the 2nd of November is an okay date for them? Or is that something that somebody else should do?
That's something I could do.
I never said that I was doing.
Yeah, that's
Very rudely.
something I can,
I'll do it, Corey, I
Okay.
have his email right here.
okay? Alright. And we all know that the next meeting is gonna be held on November 17th at 6:30. November 17th. Next regular meeting. If we find anything more, we can try to get together and try to do something with people to go over the 43-page, dissect it a little bit. That sound good?
sounds good.
Alright, so November 2nd, 2 o'clock, Monday.
So Corey,
Yes, ma'am.
on the 17th, are they gonna have the books available if people want public comment?
Books available.
Well, we have the books, the books that the commission got. You had said in, I think in one of the agendas or whatever, they said that, and I think you said you were gonna have another session that was gonna be open to public comment.
Well, the select board members, yes.
Mhm.
Yes, the next meeting, when we have a get-together and go over questions, the next time they meet with you, I believe that's coming up, correct? We're gonna,
Who?
Costello's, no, they don't have nothing?
Not that I know.
Okay,
We don't have anything planned.
we don't have anything planned, okay. That's when we're gonna do it, that's when we're gonna, because that way we could get a whole idea of list of questions asked, more depth, if we could do it at the select board meeting. But if that won't work, then we can go differently.
I don't know, maybe we could choose a date that both boards could be available. But actually, the select board just did it online, did you not?
But then they had the public comment. We had people submitted, I mean, and that was like, we were new with Zoom, so it was a little.
That's what I was wondering,
Well, I still couldn't log in on Zoom.
that's why they came
Did you
down
have the
here.
passcode?
I did it 5-6 times, I closed my page, I reopened it, I could not log in on Zoom, so I called in, and then, we came down.
Okay, because a lot of people got on, so maybe next time we can try to log on here now. See if you
I don't have my computer.
okay. No, I know, but next time, if you have problems, if you want help.
Okay. I'll put my computer next time.
I mean, I think the
Check
select
it
board
out, cause I
could
couldn't
look
log
at
on.
having, we wanna be safe, but if we had a remote one and had a way of moderating comments,
Which,
we could look at doing something.
Yeah.
So we can discuss that at our next regular meeting.
okay. motion to adjourn the meeting.